there's actually a condition called allostatic load, where your nervous system is on alert for too long, like chronically, and then it becomes hypersensitive and your body doesn't function properly. Your organs aren't processing everything as they should because it's in survival mode. And so, of course, eventually this is going to lead to sickness.
Hello and welcome. My name is Michelle Wolf, and you are listening to the Move Forward podcast. Each week, we will be talking about living life to the fullest and making the intentional choice to move past trauma. I'm a registered massage therapist, a whole food lover with farm roots. It's important to slow down, take time for healing, and to incorporate proper nourishment through fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset. During this journey, I'll be speaking openly about my personal experiences with cancer, loss of a loved one, wellness, and infectious optimism. Plus, you'll get to hear interviews with many truly inspirational and informative guests. We'll tackle each challenge with courage and care. Thank you for joining us on a mission to move forward in body, mind, and soul. Now let's begin. Welcome back, and thank you all for tuning in. Today is my 13th episode, and I honestly cannot wait to share each episode with you all. After the interviews, I have this high, and I feel so excited to share it with everyone so that you can all learn and be inspired as well. We all have a journey and a story, and I've always enjoyed hearing other stories, especially when we can learn something from them. Today's episode is with Lara Wharton. She was a lawyer working here in Toronto, and she found herself unhappy with anxiety and a herniated disc for over 6 months. Through her journey of yoga, she found meditation, and she is now sharing and teaching her practice to many others. Today, we dive into a small meditation about halfway through, and I'm just going to advise you, if you're listening to give yourself the time to actually do the meditation with us, join in by sitting or walking and pay attention to the breathing. And if you're not in a space where that's possible, maybe just fast forward the meditation, but please do come back to it once that you're able to and really give it a try. Also, please be sure to tune into the ending of the podcast because we get into a lot of the juicy benefits to regular meditation, which is why I have been incorporating more meditation into my morning routine. I do find it difficult to sit and meditate, which is why I've really enjoyed the helpful tips that Lara gives us. Okay, let's dive into the interview. Hello and welcome, Miss Lara Wharton. Thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Thanks, Michelle. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited because we met a few months ago at a moment where I was going through a lot of challenging things in my life, and we really just ran into each other. We both work at the same company, Hoop, and you do meditation there and I do the massage therapy. But I was just really excited to meet you, and I knew that there was a reason why we had met. And so I know a little bit about you. I would love for our listeners to get to know you a little bit more and about your journey through finding this meditation. So could you share with us maybe your story of how you got started?
Of course. And it's so nice to have met you through Hoop. What a great company that they have all these wellness professionals coming in to help their employees. I've made so many great contacts there, but I'm so glad that we're friends now. So I got into meditation through yoga. I started practicing in high school. My mom would bring me to yoga classes in exchange for if I went to yoga with her, she would drive me to the mall or to visit my friends on the weekend.
I read that, and so I'm asking, is that because you didn't want to do the yoga and she just wanted you to come with her?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's so funny.
My mom's a personal trainer, so any type of exercise, of course, I shunned because it's my mom telling me to do it.
Right.
So, I didn't enjoy it at all. But, once I got there, I would enjoy it. But it was kind of a chore I had to do with mom. And I'm so grateful now because I've been doing yoga most days since I was about 14. And so when I got to Queen's University, I found a yoga studio downtown, and that was kind of my escape for all the pressures of school. I was a pretty good student and studied a lot, but my yoga practice always relieved a lot of my stress and helped the anxiety that I didn't know I had then, but looking back, it was a huge help helping me stay focused. And then after undergrad, I went to India to become a yoga teacher, not really knowing what my next move was going to be. And that's when I discovered meditation. And my yoga teacher training in Goa, I did in 2010, was very meditation focused. We would meditate every morning at 6 a.m. for almost an hour, in the evenings for almost an hour, and that was for about 6 weeks. So that was when I started a regular practice. And I learned there that yoga postures, traditionally, in the philosophy of yoga, were intended to make your body flexible and comfortable enough to sit in stillness for meditation. So I learned that there's different stages of yoga, basically, when you get down to the traditional philosophy of it. And being kind of a keener, I was like, oh, I'm past the yoga stage. I want to do the meditation stage now. And so that's how I got more into meditation. I came back from India and had a regular practice. Regular, not at the time. I would be regular maybe daily for 3 months at a time. And then when things were harder, and it brought me a lot of peace and it focused me. And when I was stressed, it was what I turned to, and I felt it made a huge difference. But then as soon as things in life got better and I was more relaxed, like in the summer times, I would give it up. And so that is how my practice continued for about 5 years. When I returned from India, I went to law school, pretty much the opposite of being a yoga teacher. And throughout law school, my meditation practice helped me. I mentioned I'd do it during exams and then give it up in the summers. And at the end of law school, I had a really bad back injury. I had a slip disc in my lower back that literally threw me on the floor for 4 months. I couldn't walk. I was on painkillers. I had to get injections. Nobody really understood why this had happened, because I was healthy. I did yoga regularly. And no one knew how to fix it. I didn't want to get surgery because it didn't seem like it would potentially help that much. And so after about a year of visiting specialists and getting so many MRIs and injections and going through a lot of pain, and then feeling depressed because of the pain, and which makes the pain worse, I turned to my meditation practice and started meditating on the pain and on why this had happened in the first place. And that is when my practice has became regular ever since then, about 5 years ago now, I think. And I discovered that whenever I'm anxious, I tense my lower back. I tilt my pelvis forward and tense all the muscles in my lower back. And I must have been doing that for 26 years. And I must have been anxious for 10 years, not being aware, not being in touch with my body, despite doing yoga all the time. The mindfulness aspect I hadn't reached the point of being aware of it. So once I realized that, I would focus for half an hour a day on relaxing my lower back and doing gentle yoga exercises. And within a year, my pain went away. I can do now anything I could do before, when doctors were telling me I would just have to deal with the pain for the rest of my life, basically. And it's been about 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, and I'm like pain-free. And whenever my pain comes back, I know exactly what it is. It's stress and anxiety. So that's what made me realize meditation was the best thing ever. And I continued my practice through my career, my very brief career as a lawyer downtown Toronto. I articled and then practiced for I practiced for a bit in the States, articled, and then practiced a little bit more. And my stress and anxiety were building. My meditation practice was building. I would get away to yoga retreats and meditation ashrams whenever I could. And eventually started realizing that law wasn't the right place for me, or corporate law wasn't the right place for me. So started trying to figure out what else I should do, which brought me to meditating even more. And I took some time off and went to more meditation retreats and ashrams, and came back and started teaching my colleagues how to meditate, because they had asked, I talked about it all the time. Meditators will do that, especially new ones, when you're really excited about how good it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So few colleagues asked me to start teaching them, and I did. And then they started seeing how their lives were changing and gave me feedback that it was changing their lives within months. I was like, yeah, I know, it's great. And me looking for a new path and meditating a lot, combined with them telling me how much it had changed their lives, and more people telling me that every week as I was teaching more and more people, I realized that I think I could do that as a profession instead, or at least give it a shot. So I left my law job and started teaching in companies, mainly law firms, but now mainly pension plans, actually, since Hoop, which is such a great client. And now I do workshops and teach weekly in some companies. I also teach in studios around the city. I do one-on-ones. I have online courses, pretty much anything related to meditation. I'm doing my first retreat in May. And so I've been doing this for 2.5 years, and my life has completely changed, and all because of meditation. So it's the easiest thing for me to sell. I don't really need to sell it. I just have to stay calm and relaxed and avoid back pain, and everything seems to flow really well.
So it sounds like you've designed your life to fit what you were actually needing, what your body was really craving and needing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just paying attention to what my body needed, which
right.
is a lot of calmness and stillness, which I never gave myself before.
So you were a lawyer. Did you get into that on your own, or did you have family members maybe push you or suggest that you do something more, I don't know if the word's normal, but more of like a profession where you know that it's going to be successful and all those things?
Oh, absolutely. I remember since I was a kid, actually my initials spell law, L-A-W. I'm pretty sure that was intentional.
So that's been pushed that you should do that all your life.
Yeah. We've never had a lawyer in the family, which was a good thing, I thought, but I've always heard that, it would be great to have a lawyer in the family. I don't know why we don't get in trouble, but I was really good at school, so it seemed like even when I was in India, I remember calling my mom saying, I think I'm going to stay and be a yoga teacher. And she was like, no, you're coming back and going to law school. Not knowing that it wouldn't turn out. And I was fine with it. I didn't really know what else to do. And I was very interested. I studied human rights law and international humanitarian law. And I really liked those fields.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you get into real life, it's really hard to find those jobs. And I couldn't find those after graduating. So somehow ended up on Bay Street in corporate law, corporate securities. It's not my personality.
Sounds terrible. So I have multiple clients actually as a massage therapist. I can think of many, many, many people in my life, even friends who I feel like they've had that issue before, where they're going through something or where they have a lot of anxiety or a lot of stress in their lives, and their lower back will tighten up. And it's my practice for them is not a deep tissue massage. It's actually relaxing their nervous system. So having them completely calm down, do lots of breathing, do lots of movement, light movement. But it's amazing how movement and breathing and just like really chilling yourself out is really the key of what you need for your body at that time. And really the reason why these things happen, or these injuries, was because they were stressed. And like you said, you didn't understand for how long that you were actually contracting your muscles in your back like that. So yeah, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Not the
Mm-hmm.
way I live now, and the level of self-care and like how much I pay attention to my body and the little pains and creaks it gives me, is just to stay balanced. And of course, you have to do that a little bit more as you age. But it's amazing how much the body communicates with you if you're listening, and how healthy you can be just by listening and adjusting, by sleeping, by taking it easy and giving yourself a lot of care and kindness, which something we're not really taught. I don't think I wasn't taught even through yoga. I didn't know how much you have to rest, how much care my body needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's important for people to hear that, and to know that that is just as important as the practice of yoga or the movement or the physical activity. The calmness and the breathing is a huge part of it as well.
Absolutely. We're inundated with so much stimulation, and our lives are so busy nowadays. Everyone we know is busy, right? I don't know anyone who's not busy all the time,
Mm-hmm.
myself included. But as we move around busy and on high alert, our nervous systems are on alert, and our like fight, flight, or freeze mode of our nervous system is keeping us safe, but always on alert. And it once it's on alert too long, or too, it's supposed to be occasional, or for short periods of time you're supposed to be on alert, but instead we go about our entire days, years, months, years on high alert. And there's actually a condition called allostatic load, where your nervous system is on alert for too long, like chronically, and then it becomes hypersensitive, and your body doesn't function properly. Your organs aren't processing everything as they should, because it's in survival mode. And so, of course, eventually this is going to lead to sickness or breaking.
Mm-hmm. Like they say, there's, we needed that for, let's say, if there was an animal that was coming after us and we had to run away. So for survival, that would happen. But in that time, our body shuts down. Literally, you cannot conceive to have a baby. You cannot go to the washroom, like constipation, or the opposite, diarrhea. Get rid of it all so that you can run fast. There's so many things that happens to our body when we have that stress. And so that's okay for a short period of time. But what people don't understand is that if you have that stress all day, all the time, then that stress continues, and these things are happening in our bodies, and which is why people can't conceive, which is why people are having problems with their digestion, and they don't even know that that's the cause. So exactly.
Absolutely. It's just kind of a hum in the background. And if you ignore it for too long, it's something kind of major. Well, your body will tell you at least and wake you up. And hopefully it'll be less serious than putting you on the floor for 4 months. But that's what I needed for a wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
But every sickness or breaking that we get is like our body telling us to either slow down or take care of ourselves more.
Yeah.
And it causes your brain shuts off also when you're on that high alert. So you can't even think properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're not making the best decisions for yourself, which then causes more stress, because then you're in bad situations. And it's this perpetual feedback loop where if only we could all realize the benefit of taking more time to relax. And so finding meditation for me is one of the best ways to put yourself into the relaxation mode, and train your body to be more relaxed, which then improves every area of your life. You're smarter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for myself, and for probably many of our listeners, you are talking about how, to put ourselves in this calm place by doing meditation is a positive thing. But for me, when I think of meditation, it's almost like I think that it's hard or difficult. So for me, it's almost, I almost get anxious thinking about it or trying, because I feel like I'm doing it wrong. So can you explain maybe what is the best way, or maybe some tips on how to get started, or how to kind of lead up into getting to that spot where we are actually doing meditation properly?
Absolutely. It is intimidating because there's so many myths about it. First of all, it's not always calm. It usually isn't, actually. So the type of meditation that I teach is mindfulness meditation. And mindfulness is synonymous with awareness. So it means paying attention to what's going on in the present moment without judging your experience. And so generally you pick a point of focus of something that's going on in the present moment. And that is commonly the breath, because it's always there. It's subtle. It teaches you how to pay attention to subtlety. It is forgiving. You can get distracted all you want. It's always going to be there. There's beautiful details in the breath. The more you pay attention to it and become curious about it. So it's a great point of focus. It's always shifting. And as you focus on either your breath, or whether you pick another point of focus like your body, like I did for my back pain, or sometimes you might focus on an emotion that you're feeling in the present moment, or a mantra, a word or a phrase that you repeat to focus your attention. It can be literally anything that's going on right now. And then your mind will wander. The mind is always looking for something to think about, plan, want, desire, judge, complain about.
That's my problem. My mind starts wandering constantly. Yes.
Absolutely. It's pretty boring initially.
Yeah. Yes. And I get the heebie-jeebies. I'm like, I just feel like I need to move. Okay. But focusing on the breath.
You focus that, and then your mind goes and wanders wherever it wants to go, to the past, the future, like anything that's not really real, really. And if you can, so your mind wanders, and then once you notice, you bring it back to the breath or your point of focus. And the practice is really the coming back, that period where you get distracted, but then you bring it back. And every time you bring your mind back to your point of focus, you're training your attention and building your capacity to be more focused, so that ultimately, eventually, with a lot of practice, your meditations will become calmer. But in the meantime, you practice accepting wherever your mind goes or whatever comes up for you for your meditation. And your meditation practice can become kind of like a microcosm or a small example of the way you can live your life. So you're focused and everything's going well. I'm feeling my breath. And then you get distracted about what you're eating for lunch. And then you realize, think about what's in your fridge. And, oh, I didn't buy groceries. So then you judge yourself for not buying groceries. And then think about how much money you have to buy them and whatever. It goes on and on and on. And then you think, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be meditating. You bring it back. If you can hold that distraction in kindness and be okay with it having happened, that is the real benefit of meditation. So then the next thing that comes up, a pain in your knee. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, no, my back hurts. Oh, I should have exercised. All the judging mind comes in, yada, yada, yada. You realize you're distracted. You bring your attention back to your breath, but being completely okay that you were distracted. And this enables you to include all of the distractions every time your mind wanders. All of that becomes part of the meditation. So it doesn't matter whether you're focused or distracted. It's just part of it. And you're practicing acceptance. You're practicing patience. You're improving your focus. And all of this held in with a backdrop of kindness for yourself. Because without kindness for yourself, the judging mind will be even harsher, and this won't work at all. So that sounds like a lot of instructions. Do you want to practice a meditation?
I would love to practice a meditation. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Let's do a brief one, and I'll guide you through it. And
okay.
So you want to sit comfortably. That's all that matters. You don't need incense. You don't need yoga clothes. You don't need a cushion. Wherever you're seated on your chair. That's perfect. You want your spine to be straight, your shoulders back. You want to sit like you are paying attention. Your mind and your body mirror each other, as we already covered. So by sitting upright with dignity and a graciousness, your mind is like, okay, this is something I need to be alert for and paying attention to. And you can close your eyes or pick a point in front of you on the table or on the floor to gaze at softly, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And begin by bringing your attention within your body, just noticing the sensations of your body that are happening right now. Moving through your body with your attention, noticing how it feels. With curiosity and kindness towards yourself for whatever is there. And now bringing your attention to your breath. Just how it is. It's perfect, however it is for you today. Feeling the gentle expansion and release of each breath, like a wave coming in and out. And allow yourself to relax into that gentle rhythm. Whenever the mind wanders and you're distracted by a physical sensation, congratulating yourself once you realize you've been distracted. And with total kindness and patience, bringing your attention back to your breath or how your body feels. And following the next 3 breaths throughout the entire inhale, all the way to the end of the exhale. And then, whenever you're ready, blinking your eyes open.
Okay, are we done with the podcast? That was really nice. Yeah, that was lovely. I feel relaxed. There was a moment where I had an itch on my neck at the beginning, and I remember saying to myself, I can breathe through that. And it was literally like, I didn't think of it again until I think you mentioned something. You said, pay attention to if you feel things in your body, recognize that. And I can't remember what you said after that. Thank yourself or something, was it? And I remember just thinking, I did that at the beginning. That was great. So Amazing. Wonderful.
It doesn't take long. You just, if you do it for 1 minute, that was probably about a minute or two, it can have a massive impact on your body and resetting your nervous system.
Yeah, can you share more of what the benefits are or what we should be getting out of this practice of meditation?
Sure. So I've already talked a bit about how it brings us into the relaxation mode of our nervous system. And so our nervous system has two modes, the alert mode, the sympathetic nervous system it's called, or the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our relaxation mode. And we all need to spend more time there. So deep breathing and meditation help us get into that mode, which will help all of your organs and your entire body function better, including your brain. Meditation also changes your brain physically, actually. They've done so many studies in these last few years to show the impact of it. It's been proven that because of the concept or principle of neuroplasticity, this means that our brains are malleable. They change depending on how they're used, which really means your brain is a map or a history of all of the thoughts that you've had and the way that you've used it, which is an interesting way to think about it. And this gives us a lot of hope because that means you can change the way that you think depending on the thoughts that you have, and which takes intention, which takes mindfulness. So as you meditate, so the parts of your brain that you use or the thoughts that you have become more cemented in. Those parts grow, and the parts that you don't use or the thought patterns that you have less of or stop having, those parts of your brain will physically shrink. And so as you're meditating, you're practicing focusing, you're practicing being patient, you're practicing being kind to yourself, you're practicing being committed as you decide, I'm going to sit for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you stick with it. You're practicing being present, which has been proven to that we are always happiest when we're present. There's a great TED talk on that, When We're the Happiest by Matt Killingsworth, a TEDx talk that he did this massive study and proved that we're happiest when we're present. Even when we're doing something fun and we're thinking about something else, or we're doing something miserable and we're thinking about something good, we're still always happiest when we're present. So we're practicing being present, we're practicing acceptance. As we accept all these thoughts and emotions and feelings that come up and then come back to our point of focus. So all of these things, acceptance, patience, we're practicing forgiveness, forgiving ourselves every time our mind wanders and coming back. These are all skills that you're developing every single time that you sit to meditate. And there's been studies that have shown that within 6 weeks of meditating regularly, I think in the study they did 17 minutes a day, but there are other studies that show that you'll get the same benefits from up to just 10 or 12 minutes a day. The gray matter in our brain and our neocortex has been shown to physically grow, which is incredible. Our gray matter actually decreases as we age. And the gray matter in our neocortex, that's our thinking brain, where all of our rational thinking and analyzing and planning and our long and short-term memory are all located. Another physical benefit is that the amygdala, which is a part at one of the most primitive part of our brain, which is where our survival instinct is, it's a kind of our warning system. And so when we're on constant stress and on constant alert, our amygdala becomes active and hyperactive. And so we can see stress in any situation, this positive feedback loop, a really negative feedback loop. It's a bad feedback loop. So it becomes hyperactive, and within 6 weeks of meditating, it's been shown to reduce the physical size of the amygdala. So
I've seen some imaging of that I guess it'd be like I don't know if it's an X-ray, but like an imaging of the colors and actually see that. And it's proof, like there's actual proof of that. So that's really incredible. And then, like you said, I think there's a lot of studies, quite a few that they've done on this to show that it's not just somebody saying it once or twice. This is like real life proof that this is actually healing and beneficial in so many ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also another study I read is that they're learning that as we meditate and our default mode network is the part of our brain that's always talking, like the background, what we know is our chatty mind, what we're trying to quiet down a little bit. And once we are able to, with practice meditating, that quiets down a little bit. And then with the quieting of the default mode network, there's connections between other parts of our brains that are made possible because of the static has kind of quieted it down. So parts of our emotional brain can connect with our rational thinking brain, like the neocortex with the limbic brain. And so it improves our creativity, it improves our ability to understand our emotions, our emotional awareness, and so deal with them. So a lot of really, really cool brain science going on right now.
And would you say, so the reason of why you practice this meditation is not just so that you can be better at meditation, it's more so, you're practicing this so that you can take this practice and you can apply it to your everyday life so that when you have these situations where you're stressed or where you're where you're needing to calm that nervous system or calm your mind, then you have that practice in place because you've been practicing it. You know how to do that comfortably.
That's exactly it. With practice, you are able to, well, as I was mentioning before, your meditation practice can become kind of like a small example or a microcosm. I don't know the right word there, but of your life. So as you sit there, things come in, things come out. It gets comfortable and peaceful, and then it becomes uncomfortable and awful, and you think you're going to die from restlessness. And there's so many ups and downs, but you are able to just sit there calmly in the middle of it all, observing as it comes and goes, practicing kindness and patience. And just like our regular lives, we'll have a great day and everything's going great, and then something terrible will happen, and we know life is always up and down, and it always will be, no matter how much you meditate. There's nothing you can do to avoid that. Like suffering and joy are equal in our lives, right? Or equally present, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So as you practice sitting through all the ups and downs in your meditation, you become better at recognizing these ups and downs in your life and better able to sit through these storms more calmly and more in a grounded way. Kind of like one of my favorite teachers, Jack Kornfield, talks about taking the one seat. So take the seat in the middle of the room as you're meditating, but also in your life, and then just kind of observing what's happening and like riding the waves of each experience. And meditation will teach you how to become more equanimous as the hurdles of what goes on in our life happen. And it teaches you that nothing's permanent. Everything shifts and comes and goes. And you learn that as you sit, and then you can definitely apply that to the bigger of life's problems, which is a huge help as you navigate this complicated life.
So I haven't really practiced a lot of meditation, but I've definitely heard before about how the breathing and really paying attention to your breath is very important. And maybe a year ago or so, I had a friend call me, and she was actually having a panic attack, and she couldn't speak even. But I know that this had been a part of her personality. And so I just kind of assumed that was happening because of the way she was breathing. And so immediately that's what came to my head was breath. She needs to change her mind of what she's thinking about, because obviously those thoughts are causing her to be under stress and upset and not able to control a way out of that, or to be able to control her breath. So she's literally stopping her breathing. So I think it was like 10 minutes. I literally just kept saying, breathing in and breathing out. And we literally went through the breath. And I said, we're thinking about nothing else. We are just thinking about your breath. We are controlling your breath because that is what we control right now. And I don't know where it came from. I literally it just came into my head, but I am telling you it worked. And it was so powerful for even just myself. And I wasn't the one going through the panic attack. But I just right then and there, I was like, wow, like that moment of just paying attention to the breath is so powerful, because it's true. You're in the scary moment, but if you just pay attention to that breathing, nothing else matters. Everything else is just not in your mind. You're not thinking about it. You're literally just breathing, because that's all we need to do right at this moment is just breathe. Mm-hmm.
That's an incredible story. I'm going to call you next time I get panicked.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I wanted to know. Do you have times where you have these panic attacks? Do you have panic attacks, or do you have moments where you can't control your emotions, basically?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Anxiety has been the toughest thing that I've dealt with over the last few years, once I realized that that's what this tightness in my chest was, and the crazy rolling thoughts in my head. And with mindfulness, I've gotten to the point that you can recognize the physical signature of your emotions in your body if you pay attention. So every difficult emotion that we experience, emotions are actually physical reactions. And if you start to pay attention to the ones that you get regularly, you'll start to notice. And so I did this with my anxiety because it was, when I was a lawyer, it was happening every single day, and it was getting worse by the day, which is what made me realize this wasn't the career for me.
And would you have those anxiety issues at work or at home by yourself, or like all the time?
Usually at work.
At work, okay. In the moment.
Yeah. Even by the end of my time as a lawyer, just entering the building, I would start to get anxious, which was incredible because I loved my company. I loved the people I worked with. I liked most aspects of the job. And I wasn't even busy at the very end. Like, it wasn't because of deadlines. It was just, I guess, my body telling me I was not on the right path. And so with mindfulness, I learned to, okay, I'm having anxiety, so I'm going to sit and take some deep breaths. And rather than panic about it, I'm just going to start to observe it and become curious about it, just like we do in any meditation. And so I'd be like, okay, so that's the tightness in my chest. My shoulders are a bit tight, like I feel really warm. And first, just noticing the physical aspects of your emotions, whether it's anger or depression or fear or whatever is coming up for you. Focusing on the physical aspects takes a lot of the power away. So, because you can realize it's just a physical reaction. Brings you into the present moment. And then, so with my anxiety, it's like, oh, my chest is tight. Okay, well, as long as you don't let your mind run away with it, it becomes just a tight chest, which is a much easier thing to deal with moving through your afternoon at work than anxiety and all the connotations and the stories that our mind makes up around anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So first, just taking some deep breaths, trying to name the emotion, trying to be specific about it. The more specific you can be, the less power it will have over you, the faster it will pass. Starting to feel the physical signature of it in your body, that can help a lot. And then sometimes sitting in meditation doesn't work when you're in the midst of a really strong emotion. When I'm angry or sad or lonely, often the last thing I want to do is sit and focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're restless or you just want to move, if you're angry, and sometimes anxiety makes you want to move. So walking meditation can be really beneficial as well.
I was going to say, what does that look like? What does that mean?
Great. And particularly for people who don't want to, sitting doesn't work for them. And sitting's not for everyone. Like, you got to find out the meditation technique that works best for you. Walking meditation means walking generally a little bit slower than you usually would, because we all are in a rush all the time. So slowing it down, but whatever pace feels right to you, feeling your body as you walk, feeling each step as you lift your foot and then place it, feeling your breath as you do so, starting to pay attention to just how your joints are moving, how your hips are moving, your balance on each foot as you place and lift each foot. And this can bring you out of your head into the present moment. And you can do this as you walk to places. I sometimes do it as I'm walking to work or anywhere, but if you're in a difficult emotion, it can help to be in nature or to get outside, definitely, because sun and fresh air is always going to help. And moving your body is also going to help process any difficult emotions. The cortisone flowing out of your body, some movement. But it can also work in your living room, pacing back and forth. If you can find somewhere with 20 or 30 steps and go back and forth, and just relax in your body. And it's just as beneficial as sitting meditation, and sometimes easier if you're feeling really uncomfortable.
I found that really, like every time you were explaining, like feeling the way that your foot feels as you step and take acknowledgement of your breath. Every time you were explaining that to me, I felt like my body was becoming like it was floating or something. So I feel like having your voice there is really effective. Do you find that that's like in my head when people say meditation, I was thinking like putting on music and just breathing. Do you find that having somebody talking or speaking or reminding us of these things is maybe a little bit more effective, or what you choose? Or
at the beginning, guided meditations can be really helpful. So if you want to start your own meditation practice, I mean, you've already done a meditation so that you know how to do it now. You just want to sit or walk for a couple minutes a day. 2 minutes a day is a great thing to aim to start with. You want to start slow without judging yourself if you miss a day. And guided meditations can be helpful because at the beginning, even though you are doing it right, you can't really do it wrong if you're trying to pay attention. That's all you have to do. But we still we judge ourselves, think we're doing it wrong. And so having a voice to guide you through it, just like I did, can be really helpful. That's how I started for the first 3 years. I would do 5 minutes a day with a guided voice. The great app is Insight Timer. They have thousands of meditations from hundreds of different teachers. I have a bunch on there as well. And so you can find one that you like, whether it's breath awareness or body awareness or mantra or visualization. There's so many. And I really encourage people to find one that they enjoy, because this is not supposed to be torture. This could eventually be something you look forward to instead of feeling like a chore. It might take a while, but find one that works for your personality, and then start listening to that every day. And then once you feel comfortable, maybe trying a day without it, doing it on your own, going back and forth, taking it day by day. It doesn't matter whether you're listening to a voice or not. It's beneficial regardless. So not pushing yourself to try and be perfect and be the best, like so many of us do, and want to do 20 minutes alone right at the beginning. That's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. So you are practicing at different corporate locations. And so I know you're doing classes there, but I've met a few people who you are also doing one-on-ones with them there as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go in and do a weekly meditation 2 days a week now. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I do 2 guided meditations. So great to see people who've been meditating for 2 years now weekly with me there. And because I've been there for a while, I've made really great relationships with some people there. So I answer questions after class, and some of them I've started coaching one-on-one.
I've heard some incredible things about you, just so you know. They talk so highly of you. And people don't know that I know you or anything, and they're like, have you met Laura? You need to meet her. She's amazing. Have you taken her 30-day, is it a 30-day free class, the program online on your website? They're like, have you done it? It's so good. Like, I will get to it. I will get to it.
Oh gosh, I
It's
need to
great.
improve it, but yes, it's been very popular. I do have a 30-day learn how to meditate course, and it's free, and it's on my website. And it covers a lot of the things I've been talking about, and walks you through the first 30 days of meditating. And every day you get an email with a guided meditation starting at 1 minute a day. And it's with my voice. So if you find that calming, sign up. If you don't, you got to find the person's voice. I think that's a big thing in meditation.
For sure.
That you like and don't find obnoxious. So you get a meditation that starts at 1 minute a day. And by the end of the month, you're at 10 minutes. And almost every meditation is different. So my purpose behind it was to get people into the practice of the habit of starting to do it every day and making it as easy as possible. So it just gets in your inbox. It's probably the first thing you'll get in the morning, because I think I send it out at like 4 or 5 a.m. And also being able to experience a host of different meditations to figure out which one works best for you. And then you tailor it for yourself. Everybody's meditation practice is going to be different. Like morning meditation doesn't work for everybody. Night doesn't work for everybody. Sitting doesn't work for everybody. Breath awareness makes people anxious sometimes if they've had trauma related to their breath or breathing before. So at the beginning, you do have to do a little bit of experimentation. And this course does provide a bunch of varieties of meditations to see which, in the hopes that one is enjoyable, and then going forward from there, you can keep up a regular practice. The benefits really only start to come when you do it regularly. That's the hardest part, is maintaining the habit. Doing it once a week. You'll feel focused for the next 6 hours more than you would, and maybe more clear-headed, and maybe feel a little bit better. But none of the brain effects, none of the nervous system effects are really going to start happening. You won't start enjoying your life more, which actually really does happen. You'll start feeling more grateful and more compassionate. Those all happen with doing it regularly.
Mm-hmm. And would you say doing it at a specific time, like in the morning, at lunch, at dinner, nighttime? What would you suggest for people? Or is there a time?
Morning is nice because I'm not a morning person, and I've been meditating for like 10 years and only recently started doing it in the morning. And I find that when I do it in the morning, my day goes a lot smoother. Because I don't know, you're in that relaxed state. Everything's like, oh, something bad happened. Oh, I missed the bus. I'll just grab the next one. Like, oh, I'm late. No big deal. I spilled. Like, no problem. Somehow I'm just a lot more easygoing.
I feel like you're able to set yourself up, for success, rather than like, oh crap, I woke up late and I wasn't able to get my coffee in time, or whichever, and whereas this, it's like you actually dedicated that moment. You're proud of yourself because you did something that you had wanted to do. And then also it is very calming. And yeah, so obviously those benefits would hopefully continue with on the day, or at least that's what I think in my head of why that would help.
That's exactly it. Especially the pride, like you've done something really nice.
Yeah.
You feel good.
Yeah. And I think you keep saying to yourself, like, if you miss a day, or if your thought goes somewhere else, don't judge yourself for that. And I think that's really something to think about. Like myself, I don't have a lot of judgment on myself, but I know a lot of people who do. And that is where a lot of anxiety comes from, because it's you're trying to please yourself, or you're trying to please your family, or whatever that is. Usually it's because you're trying to please somebody, including yourself. And so I think being gentle with yourself and not judging yourself would be a huge part to get out of this, it sounds like.
Absolutely. That's, I think, the best part. As you practice sitting and not judging yourself just for that period. And really, it doesn't matter how your meditations go, whether you're super focused the whole time and relaxed and in this like blissful state, which I'm yet to experience, or you're completely feeling awful and it makes you feel worse. Hopefully it doesn't, but it's chaotic and you get up feeling just as a mess as when you sat down. It doesn't matter. You have to you practice not judging yourself for it, and your body is actually, you're getting what you need out of each meditation. Your body is giving you exactly what you need in that moment. So if practicing that every day, you learn not to judge yourself for other things. No one's perfect. And judgment has been something that I'm a lot better at now than before, when I was living a life completely not based on anything I personally wanted, but just wanting to please everybody around me. And now living a life that is so me focused, quite selfish really, but luckily it involves helping people, so it doesn't make me feel bad.
And I think that's interesting. Like if you aren't taking care of yourself, or if you're not happy yourself, how can you give that happiness to other people? Whereas now, if you're maybe a little bit more happy or not as judgmental, you have that energy and you have that ability to be able to give that back.
Absolutely. 100%. And the more you love yourself, the more you can love other people, but you have to start with yourself. You have to start with being kind to yourself before you'll be kind to other people. Being generous, patient, everything starts with yourself.
Yeah. Which is why I say, so that's not selfish. It's like, it's selfish if we do the opposite, if we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Because we can't give it back then. And that's selfish.
That's completely true. That's the perfect way to think about it.
I've been working on that lately, because I feel like so many people in my life don't give themselves that time. And it's like, well, you're being selfish to everyone in your life, because now they don't have you at your best self, and you're amazing, but you're not being your best self to this person and that person because you're not taking care of yourself.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself first.
You do, because your energy and the way you feel rubs off on everyone around you. Like, when somebody's feeling good and confident, and like when I see you, like you exude like positivity and like good energy, and that will rub off on me, on your clients. Just like when I walk into a room to teach meditation, it's more important that I'm feeling good and calm myself than anything I've prepared, like what I'm saying, because it's your energy that's coming off. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you're only going to bring everyone around you down. It's very true. So wise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm working on that. Okay. So I want to know, what are you most excited for? Do you have anything coming up that you would like to share with us?
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I am teaching or hosting my first international meditation retreat in May in Guatemala.
Wow.
I'm so excited.
Is that your own thing, or are you doing that through something else?
My own thing.
Tell us about it.
So it's at this luxury private hotel. It's kind of like a castle in the jungle outside of Antigua, which is a beautiful UNESCO World Heritage City in Guatemala.
That sounds terrible.
It's going to be miserable. It's going to be a full week of relaxing and meditating and coming into connection with ourselves and nature, and walking meditations and hiking and healthy food and heat therapies. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So right now I'm just planning that for May will be the first one. And then they'll be ongoing every few months at this property that I've met the owners of. So we're organizing that right now. So you'll have to come to one.
I would love to. So do you have somewhere where we can sign up for that right now, or is that in progress right now?
It's in progress. I have the dates, I have everything, but I haven't officially put it out there yet. Sometime in the next week or two, but I'll be announcing it to my mailing list first, because I think it's going to fill up, and I've promised them that I would do that. So if you want to find out when it becomes available, you can sign up for my mailing list on my website, which is also where you can sign up for the online program, which is listenlightly.com. And I think the mailing list sign up is at the very bottom of the page, the first page, I think.
I think so. Yeah, I remember. And there's I think another little link maybe where you can find it. I found it easily.
Okay, perfect. There's this place that says sign up for my mailing list, and then there's a place you can sign up for the 30-day challenge, and then or just send me an email.
Okay, gotcha. Amazing. Okay, so people can find you there. Is there anywhere else that you would say that people should look for you? Instagram, Facebook? Where are you? Where can we find you?
Instagram and Facebook. I post the same thing on both of them. And my business is Listen Lightly. And Instagram is where I announce everything. That's where I said, like, whoever signs up for my mailing list will find out about the retreat first, because I know that they're going to go really quickly. And yeah, I'm doing meditation teacher trainings also in Toronto this year. If anyone wants to, the same training I did about 3 years ago before I became a teacher as my career. And so I'm partnered with my teacher, Javasu. And so we're hosting those in the city, 2 of them this year. And so that's also something I'm really looking forward to. And the details are on my website. It's a really good way of getting deeper into your practice, or even if you're a beginner, learning how to teach other people.
Perfect. So we can find that on your website?
Yeah.
You said? Okay.
Website and Instagram is what I put everything out, where I put everything out.
All the good stuff. Okay. One more question. I want to know, what are you most proud of since you started this journey? Is there anything you've done, or somebody you've met, or something that you're proud of?
Oh my gosh. Since I started this journey, these last 2.5 years, well, Listen Lightly turned 2 last weekend. And it's pretty broad, but I can't believe how much I've done in the last 2 years and how my life has changed. 3 years ago, I was an incredibly anxious lawyer, super unhappy with a lot of pain, physical pain. And I remember thinking, like, is this as good as it gets? I got what I thought was my dream job. Like, this is it? I don't feel happy. And somehow I made the decision to take this risk, and I'm so proud that I did.
Take it.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's so much more full, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And I'm so proud of myself for taking that leap, that risk, and being broke for a couple of years and working my ass off and other things that go along with starting a new business, but taking the risk to follow your dream. Like, it's scary, but if you don't do it, it's kind of scarier, I think. So I guess all of it, not a great answer.
No, that's amazing. And honestly, I'm proud of you for following your heart. And I think people can really learn from that and know that, even though it's scary, listen to your body. If something's wrong or something doesn't feel quite right, it's probably telling you that there isn't something right and that you should change it. And I'm proud of you for figuring that out. And I'm sure the journey will only continue. So I'm really excited to see where you go from here.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today. And keep shining your light and moving forward. Thank you so much for spending your time with me and the Move Forward podcast. I am extremely grateful to each of you. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to share this episode with someone you think would benefit. Also, if you could please leave an honest review by going to iTunes and leaving your thoughts and questions. Let us know what you would like to hear more of so we can continue to inspire and share with the world. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am forever grateful for this community that we are building and the individuals we are helping. Until next time, we hope you continue to move forward by choosing to move your body, your mind, and your soul. Thanks, guys.